Hello everyone, it's Stephanie from Lumeria Star. So welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing part 2 of decks leaving my collection. So just a quick disclaimer, all of these decks are truly amazing. I feel like that's why I had them to begin with. I'm just in a place right now where I really want to downsize the amount of decks that I have. It's really kind of amassed into a collection, and I really never had intentions of being a collector. I have full intentions of using and reading with every single one of my decks. So for that reason, I'm trying to only have decks that either have a very specific purpose. I use it pretty frequently, and if I feel like certain niches of my collection or my needs are kind of oversaturated, I just kind of have to pass them along. So that's really my disclaimer. These decks are awesome. If you love this deck, continue loving this deck. I'm not at all saying it's not a good deck, because they are. So that's my long-winded, not really long-winded. That was a very just direct way of saying these decks are awesome, but they have to go. They need to find new homes, and this is why. So let's get started today. So the first deck leaving my collection is the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. So this one actually found its way to me through the subscription box from 9 of Earth, which you guys probably all know I love a lot. I think it's just such a great concept. So it really surprised me how this wasn't going to stay. This is the title card. These are the backs, because I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday ever. So it's so cute, and I got it in October, and I just realized that I have so many Halloween spooky themed decks that this was literally going to get lost. And normally I could have rationalized oh, but I'll just rotate it in. But, I'm trying to be realistic. Look how cute that is, the jack-o'-lantern. I'm trying to be realistic in that I have so many other Halloween and spooky month themed decks that I'm already really emotionally bonded to. So this is an easy one for me to pass along because I don't have that connection yet. So that's really why. If I kept it longer, I would probably definitely develop a connection to it, and then I'd keep it. But I think I'm trying to be really intentional and just know myself, and I already have enough Halloween and Samhain decks. So I think this deck would thrive more with someone else who can give it all the time and attention and love it deserves. But the artwork is super cute. It's got tons of obviously jack-o'-lanterns and skulls and just pumpkins. So it's really delightful. I have too many. So that's why I used this maybe a few times for a couple pulls. And I said, you know what? I think I have too many, and this one has to be passed along. So this is one that needs to find a new home. So that is the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. Okay, so the next deck that needs to find a new home is the Tarot de el Dios de los Tres. That is a mouthful for me. So this deck is really cute. I love the colors. Super bright colors. Kind of reminds me of Lisa Frank artwork. Title card. So yeah, this deck is just really gorgeous. It's really bright, but for some reason I tried to use it a few times and we just weren't connecting, and that's really all it was. But I do love the vibrant color palette. I think the artwork is really beautiful. I do think for my eyes it felt a little busy, and sometimes that can prevent me from connecting with the deck, so maybe that's why. I would look at an image and there'd be kind of too much going on, so I wasn't getting the intuitive hits that I wanted to get. So now that I think about it, and I'm kind of just thinking out loud. I mean, these cards are gorgeous, so gorgeous. But I was having a hard time connecting to the actual cards, which as a reader, I'm not a collector, I'm a reader, and then I also read like professionally for others. This would be a hindrance to me, because if I'm reading for someone and I'm just staring at the imagery and pulling a blank, like it's not tapping into my intuition, then it's just a deck that doesn't work for me. With that being said, the artwork is stunning, and I want this to find a good home. Like, look at this unicorn. I want this to find a good home, and for someone who, you know, really enjoys reading with it and is getting all those, you know, lovely intuitive hits. But for me, this is just one that I wasn't getting. So for that reason, this one needs to be passed along too. So yep, that's a second one being passed along. Okay, so the third deck that is leaving my collection is the Master Teacher Crystal Oracle, the Master Devas. So I just did a review, an unboxing of this deck, and it is really beautiful. And I do like how it's very different than other crystal decks. These are the backs, and they are edged. So this deck, regarding crystals, definitely has a more spiritual take. So it's not really as much about the crystal identification as it is about the spiritual component of the crystal, which is really cool and interesting. I did try to use this a couple times, and I just felt like I do have another crystal deck that I use, and that deck also, it didn't have a spiritual component, but I feel like it had journaling prompts, which you guys probably know I'm a huge journaler. And it also identified the crystals better, and yeah, it just kind of helped me connect with the crystal energy more. This one's a little more high level, and it's a little more like connecting to like that spiritual component of the crystal. This is cool too. It's like a blank card, personal power. With that being said, it is a gorgeous deck, and it's very unique. So I haven't seen anything else like this, and it comes with a really great guidebook that has a message, and there's like a crystal medicine, and then there's ceremonies. So it is super unique, and it's a really nice quality guidebook that has a lot of information. I just know that like it's a little too niche for my needs, if that makes sense. So, you know, again, I don't want decks just kind of like languishing like on my shelves and stuff. So I'd rather have this deck find someone who is gonna like love using it all the time. So this deck will also be passed along, Master Teacher Crystal Oracle deck. Okay. So the next deck that is going to be passed along didn't come in a box. It just came in this like little pouch here. This deck I did get from, where did I get it? This deck is originally from Etsy. This is the Wilderness Collide Oracle, and I did get it secondhand. So just so you know, like there's like a writing inside. I am not Tammy, so this was pre-owned when I got it. But it's really beautiful, really, really beautiful. These are the backs. I didn't like edge it or anything. And it has that, you know, collage artwork. It's very fantasy, kind of like otherworldly, that retro futuristic vibe. It does give me that like Danielle Noel vibe, as well as like Serpent Fire artist type, you know, aesthetic. And this actually does pair really well with the Serpent Fire. I've used those two together. However, I feel like I just have too many decks that have this kind of similar energy, and I just noticed I wasn't picking this up as much as I wanted to. So I think this one has to go as well. It's gorgeous. It really is. The guidebook is great too, but for some reason I am not reaching for it, and I do think it's because I just have I have enough Oracle decks in this like genre, in this niche. So this just keeps getting passed over, and that's really sad because the artwork is stunning. Let me show you a little bit more of the guidebook. Again, it was pre-owned when I got it, pre-loved, but otherwise it's in perfect condition. So, and there were some extra cards that came with it I just put in the back. So the guidebook, you know, it has kind of like a paragraph for each card, but they're really good. And this could be a great deck for like one card pulls for journaling, or again, it pairs really well with a lot of the tarot decks that I have. It's just one that for whatever reason, I'm not reaching for. So it's gorgeous. I'm not sure if this is out of print. When I got it, it was out of print, which is why it was pre-loved. It might be back in print, but either way, this deck will be finding a new home, and yeah, it's going to be leaving my collection. So this is the Wilderness Collide Oracle deck. Okay, so the next deck that will be leaving my collection, this is the Jean Noblet Tarot de Marseille. This is that reproduction deck by Artisan Tarot. This deck is so lovely. It's got, like, Artisan Tarot has done such a nice job with these reproduction decks. The reason why I want to pass this one along is primarily because, well, first of all, Marseille is not my like reading system of choice. I am very much more Rider-Waite-Smith. I do read Marseille. I have, you know, a handful of Marseille decks. However, I just, again, I don't, in my opinion, I don't need more than one. So the deck I'm keeping in place of this is the original Artisan Tarot deck, the Nicholas Conver reproduction deck. That's going to be like my study deck. But with that being said, I do love the size of this. So this is, I'm trying to see, the Tarot de Dios de los Tres. That's even a bit smaller than a standard tarot, and you can see the difference here. So this is almost like bridge sized, or almost like Lenormand sized. So I do really like the smaller size card. I've noticed I tend to just like smaller cards that I can handle. But I don't need it because I already have the Nicholas Conver Tarot, Tarot de Marseille, and I just really need one for study. So as much as I do like this size, and I actually like the colors more, but yeah, do I want, no, I don't need this. I don't need this, even though it's a gorgeous deck. This is a first edition review deck, so they did send this to me for a review, but it's absolutely beautiful, and the cardstock is like that great linen cardstock that shuffles really well. So this isn't the exact Kickstarter version for those of you who were interested in that, but this is still a really high quality version, and obviously it's the full deck. So if anyone has been wanting to get this, I'm going to be passing this one along. And the tuck box is really nice quality too. It's like that, I don't know, it's a really nice paper. So the Jean Noblet Tarot de Marseille deck, this will be leaving my collection as well. All right, so this one is surprising me, and it kind of pains me that I think I'm gonna let this one go. This is the Carnival at the End of the World Tarot, and this deck is so cool, but I am not using it, and I have some ideas why. So first of all, it came with extra cards, which I think were awesome. So let's just look at those for a second. These are just like random fantasy fictional characters, and they're so cool. They are so cool. I even bought the companion book because I wanted to see how I could read with the extra cards, and they didn't even write up what the extra cards mean. So I was a little disappointed with that, even though the guidebook is very good. It was just kind of a bummer to me because this was a separate purchase that I did. But I love the artwork. These are the backs. I love the artwork of this deck. It's weird, it's quirky, it's very like pagan. It reminds me of the film The Wicker Man. But a few things with this deck. It's that kind of like extra long length. Like it's tarot width, but not standard tarot length. So it's a bit hard for me to grasp and shuffle. And then it's also that beautiful linen cardstock that people love. But for me, because it's hard to grasp, when I shuffle, I tend to just completely drop the whole deck. Cards are flying out everywhere. So like, just from a like logistical, realistic point of view, it's a hard deck for me to use. With that being said, the artwork is so awesome. But I think that alone is preventing me from using it. So I thought about maybe trimming it down. So maybe I can grasp on and hold it better. I did see Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot. She trimmed down the borders, and like maybe that can help me. But then I'm like, what if I trim it and then I still can't use it? I mean, I guess someone would still want a trimmed deck because I'm not going to do any crazy modifications. If I do that, it would just be a trim. But the artwork is just so cool. It's like this like quirky fantasy world, like this strange like children's book that's kind of dark and weird. I love it. I really do. Yeah, so I don't know, like I think this should be passed along, but like I do have second thoughts. Like I could just trim on the inside of this border, and perhaps that would make it easier for me to handle. So I don't know. This is a maybe. I'm not gonna lie, this is a maybe. I'd love for you guys to leave in the comments what you think I should do with this deck. Should I attempt to trim it first and see, or do I let this go and see? This is like such a Wicker Man card, and I do love that film. It's so strange. So yeah, if I let this go, if I decide to let this go, I will, it will be passed along, and I'll sell it with the original guidebook that I purchased separately, so they don't come together. But leave a message in the comments if you think I should still give this a chance and maybe trim it first, because I do know it's an indie deck. It's not one you see a lot. Will I regret passing this along? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, the next deck is a really quirky deck, and I actually won this in like a giveaway on Instagram by a fellow tarot tuber, not tarot tuber, tarot Instagram account. So this deck is completely in Russian. So I don't read Russian. And I just call this the Russian Puppet Theater deck. I don't actually know the name of it. And it is strange, and it's cool. It's very cool. And the artwork is actually pretty easy to read because it does have the numbers and it has the elemental symbols. So you don't have to read Russian to kind of understand what the card is. If you do read Russian, then this deck could be perfect for you. But this deck is super cool and super strange. I actually did read with it for a while, and I was using it to kind of connect with my grandmother, who isn't Russian. She is, she was Ukrainian. She was born in the Ukraine. But she did speak Russian. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is, you know, just like a kind of a part of my heritage. So, yeah, it's strange. It's weird. It's quirky. But I haven't picked it up in a while. There's other decks that I'm using, to kind of connect to like my grandmother and like that part of my heritage. So now it's just this really cool art deck. And again, I'm trying to not be a collector. So I think this deck needs to get passed along. So if you are someone who speaks Russian, what's cool is it comes with a full, gorgeous guidebook with a lot of information that unfortunately is lost on me. I cannot read this. But even if you don't speak Russian or read Russian, this deck is actually completely usable. I was using it without being able to read the language, just because the artwork is pretty clear and it does have the numbers and it has the elemental symbols. So you can already see, like, this is the 5 of Cups. So it's actually pretty easy. There are some like extra cards in here too. So this is a deck. It's in pristine condition. The person who owned it prior, I don't think really used it that much. So the condition is great. And it comes in this really nice, sturdy 2-piece box. And there's a, you know, a tuck box within the box. In the book, which is in perfect condition. So this is what I call the Russian puppet theater deck that will be getting passed along as well. Okay, so the next is an oracle deck, and it's actually 3 different oracle decks. It came wrapped in this pouch, which this was the original way it came to me. All right, I'm just gonna pull the deck out. So this is the, this is 3 different decks that I bought and I put together. This is Elizabeth on Earth Oracle deck. So I kept them completely in order, and they are just really gorgeous photo collage Oracle cards. And originally I bought this to pair with the Dream Keepers tarot because I feel like the artwork is so similar, and it is, but for some reason I got it and I just never felt called to use it, which is strange because this artwork is haunting and it's beautiful. It's meant to be read completely intuitive because there is no guidebook. It just has the gorgeous image and then like a phrase at the bottom. So like the crone, the mother, the maiden, sea spirit. So like they're just very ethereal. They're kind of haunting, permission. Like they're just so cool. But I do not use them. And I don't know why. I think they just weren't meant for me. And I've debated on just keeping them because they are so gorgeous. Like, look at these. Her artwork is stunning and it's haunting. So that was deck 1. So I kept them separate. So I'm keeping the title cards in here. So this would be deck 2. So I believe you can't purchase this all as one deck. You can only purchase them separately. So I purchased all 3 and just put it into one deck thinking I was gonna like use this all the time, and I just never did. So like, look at these, they're so cool. But I am not using this. So I just want this to go to someone who's really going to just love this and use it. I think this would be a great deck for pathworking, which I don't really do. I've heard about people who do that. It's just not a practice I really explored yet. But the images are haunting and they're gorgeous and they kind of suck you in. Like, look at this one. It's like such like sea witch vibes. But again, I'm not using it, and I'm really trying to refrain from keeping decks just simply because they're beautiful. I do want to be able to use them. Bare Bones of Winter, like that's so gorgeous. Why am I not using this? Okay, and then this would be the 3rd part of the deck. And this, I think I dropped this, so that's why some of them are upside down. Yeah, they're stunning. These would be really great altar cards too, I think. I mean, I could do a full walkthrough of this because I don't think I ever have, but I feel like I'm kind of doing that now a little bit. But yeah, they're gorgeous. This was meant to be purchased as 3 different decks. I put it into one. Oops. So this is the Elizabeth on Earth, 3 Oracle decks kind of created into one mega deck. So I do believe I will be letting this one go, and I will do this as the full set. And this was never used, so it's brand new. It did come in this, like, I'm gonna have to redo this. It came like folded and wrapped really nicely in this cloth, but I can certainly include like a little bag, because this one, I'll keep this too, like I'll pass this along, but this is how it came in when I ordered it on Etsy. So that's the Elizabeth on Earth Oracle deck. And do I have any more? I do. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna go grab. Okay, I have a couple more leaving my collection. So the next one is the Isis Oracle by Alana Fairchild. This is the pocket edition. It comes in this really lovely 2-piece box that has the thumb hole cutouts. So this actually came to me in a Goddess Provisions box, and the artwork is really awesome, actually. It kind of gives me this like superhero woman vibe. Like that's kind of how they're like depicting Isis. The messages, so because it's a pocket deck, it doesn't have a guidebook, but it has the messages on the back. So it's like pretty concise. So there aren't card backs, it's the actual message. But it's really beautiful, and the messages are awesome. It's just that Isis is not one of like the goddesses or deities I work with, and I just don't feel called to her energy at this moment. That may change, but right now I'm working with some other goddesses that really resonate with me on a much deeper level. So for that reason, I do want to pass this one along. So if like Isis is a goddess or deity that you do work with, this would be an awesome deck. I've really only flipped through it. I've really never used it. So the condition is pretty much brand new. So that is the Isis Oracle. Okay. And next is the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. So this deck I really also never quite used. I had intentions of using this for like heritage work, because it is like Slavic folk culture, and I am part Ukrainian. So that was like when I bought it, that was my intention. These are the backs, and it's not edged or gilded or anything. The artwork is gorgeous. Like this was one of my favorite Empress cards. I loved her. The artwork, yeah, the artwork is beautiful, but for some reason, again, I'm not feeling called to use it at all. So I don't want to keep this just because I think it's beautiful. I don't want decks to languish with me. So this deck is in pristine condition. I've done under 5 card pulls with this deck ever. I've never even like riffle shuffled it, so the cards are still like stiff and in brand new condition. Yeah, I think this deck is meant to be for someone else, and should I ever change my mind, I'm sure this deck will find its way to me if it's meant to be with me, but it's just not a deck that's calling to my soul right now, despite the artwork being absolutely stunning. And that's so weird. Isn't that weird how that happens? Like, I love this artwork so much, and yet I don't want to use it, or I don't feel called to use it. Like, that's so strange. But I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. So it comes with a guidebook, which is really nice, and you can tell like it's not even opened. It's like so stiff. But the guidebook has, you know, the meaning. It has a keyword, which is nice, and then upright and reverse meanings. So yeah, this is the Tarot of the Golden Wheel, not used at all. So this will be up for rehoming and finding a loving home who wants to use it. Okay, so the last deck right now that I am going to be rehoming, which surprised me, is the Alcharinga Oniromancy deck. I hope I pronounced that right. So this deck is by the creators of the Gothomancy deck. So again, this is another one where the artwork is stunning. I love the artwork. These are the backs. And I believe this is like a first edition, or this isn't the edition with the holographic edges. But the artwork is stunning. And it obviously pairs really well with Gothomancy. I was pairing this with the Bad Girls Tarot, like the color and the artwork I feel like really complemented each other. But this is more of a dream-based oracle, which is fine, but I wasn't using it for that reason. Like, I don't really do dream work with my decks. I don't need something that specific. So like that was one thing. And yeah, because I wasn't using it for dream work, I feel like the keywords like weren't necessarily working well or aligning with how I use Oracle or how I use Oracle with Tarot, like robbery, like dreaming of a robbery. Like I just was having a hard time maybe using some of those not in a dream, under a dream lens. But again, the artwork is gorgeous and I've kept it around because it's so beautiful. Yet I haven't found a specific purpose for this. So that's why I feel like this one needs to be passed on. The guidebook is great. It really is. It's got the description and the reversal meaning. But because I'm really not using this for dream work, I just found that it's not been helpful in my practice and it's just sitting there. So again, that doesn't feel good for me. I do want decks that I'm using a lot. So this one will be hopefully rehomed as well. So yeah, this is part 2. There will be a part 3. I'm just trying to not make these videos super long. But this is part 2 of decks leaving my collection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once I have all of these, I'm going to open this up for people in my Patreon first. They're going to get first dibs if they want to buy a deck. And then what I'll do from there, after I give them kind of like first choice if they're interested, then I will most likely be posting these on like my Poshmark account, like Facebook Marketplace. I'll also put these probably in my Instagram at Lumeria Star. That's my tarot account, for anyone who would want to purchase this or any of these decks. So that's going to be my plan. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you have any of these decks? Like, do you love it? Have you passed them along? And specifically, what should I do with this deck? Should I try to trim it first and see if we can connect, or should I just let it go? So yeah, this was part 2. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.